Members of governing authority, colleagues, students, parents, friends and relatives, I'm delighted to welcome you all here this afternoon for the very first President's Volunteer Award Ceremony.
Selfless act of volunteering, showing concern for others, having a sense of community is what makes the world a better place, and we will continue to foster that in the University of Limerick.
Family and friends, our volunteer host organisations, elected political representatives, governing authority members, our very special guest, Majella O'Connell, Executive Director, ULA alumni staff, fellow students, and our 750 PVA recipients. You are warmly welcome to the 11th Annual President's Volunteer Award, or PVA for short. My name is Caleb Brennan from Limerick, and I'm a student here at UL, studying journalism and new media. This year, I secured my cooperative placement at the Community Liaison Office at UL. Today, I'm honoured to be your host for the 11th Annual President's Volunteer Award Ceremony and to be hosting our second virtual PVA Award Ceremony. Our PVA ceremony recognises, acknowledges, and honours UL's commanding student volunteer culture. It is worth noting that despite the challenges we have faced this year, the numbers receiving the 2021 PVA have exceeded all previous years.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Alison Barry. I'm also from Limerick and studying journalism and new media here at UL. Like Caleb, I was fortunate to secure my co-op placement with the Community Liaison Office here at UL. UL is the home of firsts. Not only voted the best campus in Ireland, our students also have the best student experience. UL is also a leader in the development and delivery of student volunteer programmes. President Kirsten is the only higher education president in Ireland to formally acknowledge and reward student volunteers through a President's Volunteer Award. Through my work in the Community Liaison Office, I get to see firsthand the enormous positive contribution UL student volunteers make both on and off campus. I'm both honoured and delighted to co-host today and support the Community Liaison Office to deliver the 11th Annual President's Volunteer Award Ceremony. I'm also excited to be delivering the second virtual award ceremony. Our student population hails from all corners of the globe. We host students from over 80 countries, thus creating a very diverse student community on campus. The pandemic has forced the ceremony online, which has been advantageous insofar as it enables our students around the globe to celebrate with us, albeit virtually. It's true, every cloud has a silver lining. So, with a nod to our diverse student population, I would like to take a moment to say Fáilte to our Irish guests, Yukoso to our Japanese guests, Ni hao to our Chinese guests, Bienvenido to our Spanish guests, Hello to our German guests, Bienvenue to our French guests, and Hi to our American and English guests.
Joining us today is our President Professor, Kirsten May. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's ceremony, President. Also with us is our special guest, Majella O'Connell, Executive Director of ULA Alumni. Majella is in touch with our ULA alumni across the globe, so we are looking forward to hearing from Majella about her work and insights on the relationship between UL's impressive student volunteer culture and our ULA alumni. This year, 750 students will receive the President's Volunteer Award. This breaks down as 156 bronze, 71 silver, 248 gold, and 275 COVID awardees. The PVA COVID Award was introduced in 2020 for the purpose of recognizing the contribution made by UL students to COVID-19 initiatives. This year, our students raised over €3,500 through this award for animal shelters and nursing home activities.
Our 2021 PVA Ceremony demonstrates once again the willingness of UL students to give back to their communities, the significance between our UL community partnerships, and the relationship between giving, learning and volunteering. I now call on our President, Professor Kirsten May, to give the opening address.
Former President of Ireland, Mary McAleese said, "Volunteers are the backbone of our country, and they are its heart and soul." Oscar Wilde said, "The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention." However, it is the words Elizabeth Andrew used that I would most associate with today. Volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. UL and our students are renowned for that heart and spirit of giving. And while I'm welcoming you all to this event virtually, the warm and proud welcome remains the same. While we remain apart for now, our ways of working and interaction may be returning to what we are familiar with once before. Nonetheless, be it here in UL, in your homes in Limerick or on Ireland, or indeed to our friends and students on the other side of the world, today is a day of celebration for those doing a little bit more to help their community. In UL, and indeed in Ireland, we have an unwavering spirit and commitment to volunteerism, and it is a commitment that has stood strong in times of prosperity, and more recently in times of challenge. Today, we can heap praise on those who have volunteered during the most challenging of times of this pandemic. The President Volunteer Awards at UL are an exemplar of the best in our students coming out to support the community. No more so than now, in this strange, unusual and challenging crisis, that these efforts should be applauded. Since 2010, the recognition of the volunteering movement in UL has highlighted a cohort of extraordinary, kind-hearted, engaged people amongst our community who reach out to give back something more. Each year, those volunteer contact hours increase, and again this year our students clocked more than 32,500 hours giving to volunteering. In the time of a global pandemic, that total is nearly 4,000 more hours than the previous year. It shows that our UL students are eager to volunteer, and COVID-19 has not stopped you in the slightest. I can go on by recognizing the impressive figures associated with volunteering at UL. To date, UL students and participants in this program have given 203,483 volunteer hours to a plethora of organizations. While volunteering is often seen as a priceless gift, if you translate the gift of those hours into financial terms, it would equate to an excess of €2 million that UL students volunteers have given to their clubs, societies, organizations and communities. The 2020-21 academic year has seen the most engagement of volunteers, rising 35% on the previous year. In 2019-2020, 530 students applied for PVA, and in 2021, 750 students applied for President's Volunteering Award. Looking at the landscape and the need for engagement with organizations, student volunteers adapted to COVID and created numerous volunteering opportunities. Students volunteered with organizations such as Down Syndrome Ireland, Childline, Enable Ireland, Tidy Towns, Irish Red Cross, Limerick Suicide Watch, to name but a few. This year, we celebrate our 11th year of the President's Volunteer Awards after it was established through the Community Liaison Office, and since then it has mirrored the culture that UL is the home of first. The UL Student President's Volunteer Awards is the first student volunteer program to formally acknowledge volunteering as having a significant role in the life of a higher education student, as well as recognizing the contributions they make to their internal and external communities during the course of their academic studies. UL is now part of the first national volunteer strategy developed by the Department of Community and Rural Development and launched last December. The purpose of the strategy is to recognize, support and promote the unique value and contribution of volunteers to Irish society, And here at UL, we will continue to support that national initiative through the engagement of our Community Liaison Office with the wider network. Last year, I spoke of the short time that we had lived through COVID-19. However, we are now some 17 months through what has been regarded as a devastating and disruptive time in modern-day history. Over the course of that time, we have seen the societal importance of volunteering. It has been hugely evident as we develop our ability to curb a pandemic, survive its challenges, and subsequently thrive as a wider community amidst the continuing public health emergency. Many of our favorite events and occasions were forced to the backbenches of life as the pandemic gripped normality. But I know that when we can return to celebrate our students' successes, and we will do so with the usual gusto. While celebrations may have been paused, volunteering was not. Over the last 11 years, we have seen more than 3,600 students engage with their communities in the spirit of giving. And I have already mentioned the thousands of hours volunteered. Today, we recognize and acknowledge the commitment and voluntary contributions of you, the 750 UL students who during a pandemic maintained that strong spirit of volunteering here at UL. Your dedication will help us to continue the President's Volunteering Awards and encourage those who can volunteer to offer their time and efforts for the greater good. Your contribution to society goes far beyond the hours dedicated, as the impact of your work will lead to a better society, even by way of the smallest measure, to someone who needs it more. At UL, we have committed that the safety, health and welfare of our staff and students remain our primary focus, and we are consciously aware of the challenges faced by our community in the Midwest. UL is always thinking of ways that we can help. It is in that spirit of coming together for the greater good that I urge you to continue with your volunteering efforts, but to do so responsibly and with the care and safety of your family and friends in the foremost of your mind. Our researchers, academics and support staff are working to coordinate the work of many in the university towards this goal. We are doing our bit in as much as we can, and you have done your bit too in the past. Despite the challenges of this pandemic, our UL student volunteers have committed their time to the community that surrounds us, and through that community partnership, this university has supported organizations in a tangible way. You are helping to deliver UL's civic goals. Through the dedicated work of the Community Liaison Office, to Gabriella and Arlene, volunteering and the culture of giving and supporting at UL will remain strong amongst our community and above all remain embedded in the student experience through active citizenship. To that end, I would like to thank the entire team behind the President's Volunteering Awards at UL. I would like to share in your stories, herald your success and congratulate you all by wishing you every continued success. It now gives me pleasure to introduce your guest speaker for this year's President's Volunteering Award. Magella O'Connell, Bachelor of Arts 1991. Originally from Kilrush in West Clare, Magella O'Connell's UL journey began in 1987 when she arrived at the campus to begin a degree in European Studies. A highlight of her studies was in fact being placed in co-op in West Berlin in the months leading up to the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. And from my own experience, I can only imagine how exciting that must have been. Following her graduation in 1991, Magella held roles at Plassey Management and Technology Center as well as at AST Computers before answering the call to return to her alma mater. She joined UL Alumni in 1996, a campus company that manages the engagement of UL's graduates. Under her leadership, UL Alumni has developed a range of key initiatives, and as executive director, she also plays a key role in helping to transform the culture of engagement at the University of Limerick. Magella played a key role in the delivery of UL 25 to mark the university's 25th anniversary, and has recently been invited onto the working group for UL 50 to mark the university's major milestone anniversary in 2022. A former voluntary board member at the award-winning Children's Grief Centre in Limerick, Magella is currently voluntary child welfare officer at Parkville Football Club, which competes in the Limerick City Soccer League. Today, she will share with us the example of what she and many other UL graduates do to ensure volunteerism remains an important part of their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten. It is an honour to be asked to speak today, and it is also a personal pleasure because, as Gabriella knows, this ceremony is hands down my favourite student event of the year. I genuinely salute each one of you being honoured today. In the same way that your relationship with the University of Limerick will last a lifetime, I hope that your volunteerism will continue to be a part of your life after graduation too. In my role as Executive Director at UL Alumni, I have the pleasure of meeting graduates from all walks of life. And of course, as a university, we pay close attention to how our graduates are getting on, and in particular, how they are applying their knowledge and education to the world. But not just in terms of career advancement. We also take immense interest and pride in observing those graduates who go above and beyond all of that through volunteering. Those who continue to combine busy lives and careers with donating their time and expertise in a voluntary capacity. I am, of course, referring to the secondary school teacher who spends her summer break volunteering in Kenya, the mechanical engineer who combines his love of motorbikes by volunteering as a rider with the blood bank, the businessman who shares his expertise through mentoring up-and-coming entrepreneurs, the communications executive who spent a year as a volunteer working with Guatemalan refugees in Mexico, and the insurance executive who asked others to shave their heads, resulting in the world's biggest volunteer-driven fundraising program for children's cancer, and which is the second largest funder of pediatric cancer research after the US federal government. I am also thinking of the former government minister who, after being shocked by a visit to a Ugandan village, trekked to Everest Base Camp to raise money so the villagers could finally have clean water. And the computer science graduate who actively volunteers within the Irish tech community to help grow diversity. And the finance company CEO who arranged for herself and her colleagues to sleep outside as part of Focus Ireland's annual fundraising campaign to combat homelessness. Another graduate who really stands out for me is the whiskey entrepreneur who was so moved by the Syrian refugee crisis that she travelled there numerous times as a volunteer to help meet not just the basic needs of food, clothes, access to medical care. She told me that they also provided companionship and solidarity. She said, music always featured in our work. Many an hour was spent on camps playing music to and with the residents. And you can really feel the humanity coming through in her words. Speaking of music, I am also reminded of the aeronautical engineer who helped establish a musical instrument and equipment library to benefit her local community in Glasgow. And another wonderful example is a team of 4 graduates who last year combined their skills in business, law and technology to build an online portal to allow local businesses to move to an online payment system during the first lockdown in Ireland, all voluntary. And recently we learned about the senior finance executive who joined with some friends in launching a digital well-being initiative which leverages the joy of fashion, and who doesn't love fashion, to help raise funds for youth mental health organisations. And finally, I share with you an extreme act of volunteerism, a young business development director who volunteered not just his time. He donated a kidney to a complete stranger. I have never forgotten what he said to me when I asked him why. He said, "I have always believed that if you have the capacity to help someone, you should at least try." And so what all of these graduates have in common with you is the ability to think beyond themselves, coupled with the generosity of spirit to act on it. And I am delighted that through some of the key activities run by UL Alumni, including our annual Alumni Awards and our Alumni Week Showcase, we have been able to shine a light on these acts and share them with the wider UL community. And I know you all lead busy lives now, and believe me, following graduation, life will likely be even busier. Work, family, and other commitments might take over, but I truly hope you will seek out opportunities to continue to make a difference in your community. And I'm really delighted to see that some of our previous student volunteers continue their involvement with the PVA programme as graduate volunteers. And as you all move through life, remember, there will be further opportunities to pay it forward, or indeed pay it back. After my husband died 12 years ago, my son benefited from the counselling services of the local Children's Grief Centre run by the wonderful Sister Helen Culhan. And so when Helen asked me a few years later to join the board of the centre, I was only happy to give something back. And nowadays, I am actively involved in my son's soccer club as the Child Welfare Officer, current COVID Officer, and unofficial Team Mammy, which I think is my favourite title. There I actually work alongside some amazing volunteers and coaches, including another UL graduate. He is a sociology lecturer who gives up his time 2 nights a week to coach. And I also happen to know that he serves on the board of a major migrant rights organisation. And now my son, who is 16, has started volunteering himself through the Limerick Sports Partnership. And that is something we can all do. Inspire others to volunteer through our example. In conclusion, let me share these words with you. If you have a spirit of volunteering in your heart, it will never really leave your mind. You will carry it always. And you will quickly and easily give up your time again when an opportunity comes up. Just be ready for it. Thank you all, and congratulations.
Thank you, Kirsten and Magella. We will now begin the roll call of our 2021 PVA recipients. Normally at this point in our non-virtual ceremony, we would acknowledge those recipients that couldn't be with us because they have graduated, gainfully employed, and studying or travelling abroad. However, virtual ceremonies allow for all our recipients to be present virtually. So on to the roll call. This year we asked recipients to send in a selfie with their award, and we will roll call those who have done so. We have split these groups into their 4 academic departments: Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences, Education, Health Sciences, Chemistry Business School, and Science and Engineering. After each group is roll called, we will show a video of one of these recipients in action. 4 videos in all will be shown throughout the ceremony. These videos bring to light the tremendous work done by our community volunteer sector in Ireland and the support provided by UL student volunteers. This year, we also wanted to draw attention to the relationship between the student volunteer culture and the evolution of social enterprise initiatives. The videos include UL Student Initiative Anytime in the Month, established by Clodagh Guerin, the Order of Malta Limerick, Milford Hospice, and Childline. I will begin the roll call by presenting a selection of our Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences 2021 PVA recipients. Martina Bienick, Esme Markham Burton, Derval Canny, Sarah Marie Chapman, Andrea Crockett, Michelle Daly, Katie Delaney, Abigail Drumming, Shannon Mary Flanagan, Roisin Foley, Shane Michael Grace, Jerome Paul Gibson, Nicola Glazer, Clodagh Guerin, Mark Hanley, Zara Harnett, Jess Hendy, Sophie Hennessy, Chloe Henniger, Michael Kennelly, Greg McNamara, Fia Malloy, Kira Mulgrew, Patrick John Murphy, Holly Nocton, Connor O'Flaherty, Tyrone O'Rourke, Josephine Ogney, Regina Palfy, Nia Roberts, Kira Sheehan, Miriam Phillips, Aisling Ryan, Sarah Ann Taylor, Jack Tracy, Rebecca Wall, Megan Walsh, Sonia San Wan Ling, Brenda Wynn. Congratulations to everybody. We will now pause for a moment to view the first of our 4 videos. These videos open a window into the voluntary life of UL students. UL is noted as a home of firsts, its volunteer culture, and its innovative and entrepreneurial spirit. Our first video demonstrates how UL student Clodagh Gearan combined all 3 to establish the extraordinary, successful, pioneering, and innovative Any Time of the Month program. Clodagh's work set out to alleviate the effects of period poverty in Ireland, as well as tackling the stigma and lack of education around periods. Clodagh established a new UL volunteer initiative that was subsequently backed by Enactus UL. I am absolutely delighted to report that in 2021, despite all that was happening in our world, UL Enactus beat off tough competition to be crowned 2021 Enactus National Champions. Woohoo!
Ireland National Champion 2021 is... University of Limerick.
Enactus UL will now represent Ireland in the world competition. The CLO office, with the help of UL alumni Craig McKeown, established Enactus UL many years ago and is therefore particularly proud of this win. Congratulations to all. So let's hear from Clodagh.
So Any Time of the Month was founded in 2019 and very humble beginnings, I have to say. I had no idea that this small idea that I had would transform into such an astounding social enterprise with sprawling impacts all over Ireland. It started off with the really simple idea of you would never go into a public toilet and expect there not to be toilet roll. And if there was, you wouldn't say, oh, that's so kind, that's so considerate, like they have toilet roll. It's completely ridiculous. So why should it be any different for period products, something you equally can't control as you can't going to the bathroom? And that was where the basic premise started. And I'm a University of Limerick student. I was in second year, I believe, at the time, and I was looking at things like Charity Week and how biros and condoms and notebooks and hoodies were being handed out so freely and so sporadically, but a free pad, a free tampon, out of the question. And I wondered what we could do and how we could make UL an even safer and more comfortable environment for our students. So I started digging and I found out that UL is actually a sanctuary college, which means that we welcome international protection applicants from direct provision centres to study with us. And these are people that live on the bare minimum. They live on less than €35 a week. And I thought to myself, gosh, if someone like me is noticing these issues, someone from privilege, someone who goes to university and luckily has never had want or need in my whole life, and I'm thinking about access to these products, what is someone like that who lives on so little with such little support thinking? And after some further digging, I found out that the Students' Union actually does provide free period products, but therein lies an issue. I had to dig for that information. So I thought to myself, how can we increase knowledge? How can we remove stigma in the university at first? But again, it sprawled so significantly that this was clearly an issue that a lot of people resonated with. And I thought to myself further, how can you identify these places that you can get these products for free? Like, not everyone will be able to do the digging that I did and ask those questions. So is it a symbol? Is it a poster? What form would that take? And I decided that it was time to take something into my own hands. You know, if you spot a change or an issue that you think you have the power to address, then you absolutely need to at least try. And I had great support from the president at the time, Ciara Jo Hanlon. So I came up with an idea, a really simple idea. And I thought, we're dealing with something that is so highly stigmatized. This needs to be discreet, but above all, it needs to be friendly and it needs to be respectful. So that was where the idea was born. How can we identify people and places that are kind and respectful, friendly and intersectional, where people can avail of free period products in a completely trustworthy manner? And that's how Any Time of the Month came about. To be involved in the setting up of an initiative that has had such traction and that resonates with so many people signifies to me that people were desperate for something like this, that people knew it was an issue, but perhaps because of the stigma, they didn't want to address it. But I've never been too afraid of controversy, so I said, if I have the power to address something and if I have the knowledge and the wherewithal and the support from the UL community to do something about it, why on earth wouldn't I? And again, I can't emphasise enough the humble beginnings. I had no idea that period poverty was as big an issue as it was when I started accessing these questions. It came from a very hippy-dippy notion of, wouldn't it be great if pads were free on campus so you didn't have to worry about it? But it spiralled and it spiralled and it grew, and the societal issue that is period poverty and dignity for people with periods really came to light. So it was completely unexpected, but to be involved and to found such an incredible initiative that has had national and now I'm very proud to say international attention is amazing. And through joining the Enactus network and through creating this network of friendly strangers, we're giving more people that opportunity to have a voice, to be an activist, to be a feminist, to be proud of the change they wish to see in the world and that they're manifesting that through themselves. So the premise of Any Time of the Month has been, and hopefully will always be, the idea of this network of friendly strangers. Our core ethos for creating this network is that it would be 100% intersectional. And what that means is that anyone, irrespective of gender identity, sexuality, religion, ethnicity, anything that they define as their identity means that they are 100% welcome in our initiative, irrespective. And as well as that, our other core value of respect, but then friendliness as well, to make it an easy conversation to have about a topic that's been so stigmatized, and to make someone feel comfortable and welcome is so important to us. So how someone would join our network is that they would purchase or just wear a badge or a sticker with our very small discreet logo on it, and that would signify to people in your college, in your workplace, or your community that you are comfortable with being approached by anyone, and anyone is the key word, who needs access to period products or that needs access to help. And this has spurred on the volunteer initiative that sits behind Any Time of the Month. We currently have a team of about 30 volunteers working for us through the Enactus network, but people of any walk of life in UL have the opportunity to volunteer with Any Time of the Month and help with smaller tasks like stocking toilets with period products in the Students' Union or other university buildings, but also spreading that awareness, working on our social media posts, working on our website, organising webinars and information sessions online, obviously in the time of COVID, providing educational workshops to secondary schools and other students' unions or workplaces to make them Any Time of the Month ambassadors. Volunteers are truly at the heart of everything we do, and the network is sprawling and it's large and it's growing every day, and that is because of our fantastic volunteers. So there's that famous saying that you need to be the change you wish to see in the world, and as cheesy as it sounds, it's 100% true. In my case, I saw an issue and I did a bit of research and I noticed that people were aware of it but nothing was being done. If you recognise that, even if it's an entrepreneurial idea or just an initiative, a movement, a social movement, it's your responsibility, I believe, as a person, as a human being, to be that change and to address it. You don't have to get up on your soapbox outside the Dáil and start shouting for political change, but educate yourself on the issue. Change, and social change in particular, begins with education. So educate yourself as much as possible on the issue you wish to represent and the change you wish to make. If you've been volunteering, or if you've been thinking about volunteering, please apply for your PVA here at the University of Limerick and log all of your hours. You deserve credit and recognition for your hard work in impacting local and national communities. And think about how amazing a note of recognition would be from your university president on your transcript.
Okay, let's call the next group recipients who are all studying in Educational Health and Social Sciences. Afrosia Ahmed, Emily Badmev, Shivani Bhatt, Sarah Duggan, Clodagh Dunn, Roisin Fahy, Megan Roach Gallagher, Jade Gill, Kareem Habib, Robin Hebert, Ava A. Hughes, Sarah Kennedy, Sarah Marnan, Judith Munuo, Blue R. MacDonald, Vinia O'Brien, Charlotte O'Mahony, Siobhan O'Reilly, Kieran Courtney O'Toole, T. Perry, Diana Marcella Liarazo Pereira, Alexandra Petrovic, Kerry Sheehan, Signe Sandere, Kayla Timothy, John Bradley Williams, and finally Simon Vuong. Well done everybody. Before we move on, we will take a moment to remember Neela Shears. Neela is a 2021 PVA recipient who died tragically this August. May she rest in peace. Our sincerest condolences and deepest sympathy to her fellow volunteers, her academic colleagues and teachers in GEMS, and her family. We'll move on. Staying with Majella's theme that underlined the relationship between our alumni and our culture volunteering, our second video demonstrates how UL students maintain their commitment to voluntary organisations long after their graduation. This video introduces the Limerick unit of the Order of Malta, established in 1948, and has since grown to become one of the largest units in the country. The unit provides first aid and community services, primarily to Limerick City and County, but are available to assist our colleagues nationwide. This video introduced Jim Keogh, officer in charge, who tells us more of their work, and Kieran Harty, a recent UL graduate who continues to volunteer with the Limerick unit.
I've been volunteering just over 27 years now. I joined in the mid-90s as an auxiliary member and then joined as a full member after that and worked my way up through the ranks with the several courses and currently a second lieutenant in the Order. The work of the Order of Malta is quite diverse. We do everything from community care work, which is our basically what we initially started out to do, was to help the poor and the sick, and we do that by simple runs like through this pandemic of collecting medication, shopping supplies, just calling in the neighbours and friends to make sure everyone's okay. And leading on from there, we move into first aid courses for the general public and also on the commercial side of things. And we also do an awful lot of work with Horse Racing Ireland, GAA and rugby and soccer and that. I don't think the work of volunteers can actually be calculated on in any extreme. Some people will give you 2 hours a week, some people will give you 40 hours a week. We're very, very happy to take the people that give us 2 hours a week. They're equally as important to us as the people that can give a whole week's work to us, and we just cannot underestimate the amount of work they do for us. The University of Limerick is very important to us. We currently have one of our members, Kieran, who you'll see later on, who has gone through UL and has been very lucky to receive the President's Awards on one but two occasions. And it's great to be involved. We also do a small bit of work here with the medical school, generally one day a year with them, where we get to show off our skills and displays and also share the knowledge with them as they're going to be up and coming new doctors and that. Volunteering during the studies is always going to be a tough time to get a balance between, but it's a good life learning event to get out, meet new friends and see a different perspective on life. We have a broad spectrum of people, everything from people who work on a factory floor to people who work in hospitals and to work for other civil servants, and we were willing to share that with everyone and bring everyone along as part of our journey.
So I started in the Order of Malta as a cadet when I was 10, and then I graduated onto our senior unit at the age of 16, and then kept on volunteering with the Order of Malta throughout my college degrees in the University of Limerick, and then have continued on post-graduation. I think volunteering is really key for any future graduate, as it's really vital for your own CV that you're looking for things to make you unique to your future employer, so that they can see what kind of person you are kind of in the future, and to be able to, they know that you can work as in a team or in certain situations, so that like it's really key that they can pinpoint where you might actually be able to help them in the future. I first heard of the PVA when I came into the University of Limerick through actually an old officer in charge of our unit. He had previously been a student of the university, and he had actually passed it on to me soon actually before a closing date for the PVA when I was in first year, and said that this would be actually a good opportunity for me. And he explained that it would go onto my transcript, and that it would be able to be seen by all future employers when they look at my transcript that I actually was recognised by my university for doing volunteering. The employers will actually go down through my transcript and they'd ask me about certain things, and then when they come to the President's Volunteer Award, they'd actually ask me, what is the President's Volunteer Award and how did I manage to get it? So then I was able to link that back to kind of any questions that they'd have around teamwork or working under pressure, and that I would be able to link it back to how I got my PVA and what kind of work I did. The fact that the President is actually recognising our volunteering work through the University of Limerick is really key, because it's very unique to the University of Limerick that our President of our university is recognising the students volunteering.
My name is Tom Hanley. I'm a member of the Order of Malta Ambulance Corps in Limerick. My rank in the Ambulance Corps is a commander, and I'm here to talk about volunteerism, particularly in the area of student activity. I certainly, and I know the organisation, would encourage young students here to get heavily involved in the volunteer side of their student activities. It's vitally important. They probably won't realise the value of it until they've left here. And to meet people afterwards who did a course with us or attended something we were at and made themselves known is very important. So volunteerism has many benefits. Usually people who start out in voluntary organisations go on in their adult life and in their careers. They might step aside to re-qualify or upgrade themselves, but a lot of them will look for something then in their mid-30s or 40s to be part of. That is that culture of volunteerism for no gain. There's no reward, but someday, as in the good book says, someday, somewhere, there may be a reward.
For each student in UL, we would encourage them, for any individual that gives up any bit of their time to volunteer for the President's Volunteer Award, regardless of what organisation you're involved in, no matter how little time you give or how much time you give to them. Volunteering is the backbone of this country. We are not all state funded. We are not state funded as an organisation. So people giving up their time is far more valuable than people giving you money. So it's a very, very good deed you're doing for your local community. Sometimes it's seen, sometimes it's not seen. And you should be very proud of your efforts. And by all means, if you're making any effort outside of school hours or college hours, by all means, put your name forward. You deserve your pat in the back, and definitely put your name forward for the President's Volunteer Awards.
Great work there from Jim, Kieran and Tom. And really great to see students continue to support and volunteer with their chosen organisations even after they graduate. Back to our current students and PVA recipients. This next group represents some of our 2021 PVA recipients studying with the Chemie Business School. Rebecca Barry, Maeve Bergen, Simone Beardsworth, Alana Buckley, Jessica Burke, Elma Casey, Neetu Chopra, Omar Farouk, Chelsea Flannery, Aoife Foley, Hannah Hegarty, Wen Hyong, Ben Hurley, Cullum Hurley, Sarah Rose Hunston, Grace Hurley, Ben Fitzgerald Kiley, Evan Mansfield, Nakul Marva, Fiona MacDonald, Tom McKeown, Neha Misery, Mary Therese Maloney, Zoe Murphy, Ni Win, Podrick Jordan O'Connor, Evan O'Driscoll, Katrina O'Halloran, Kate O'Reilly, Donal Organ, Adam Prenderville, Arcana Sacklesford Radju, Matthew Reeves, Aidan Ruan, Giovanna Sametz, Nicole Sekas, Elaine Sheridan, and finally, Kelly Tobin. Very impressive, well done to all. So we're on to our third video now. This video focuses on the significant work done by Childline, which is part of ISPCC, the Irish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Childline is open every day and is for all children and young people up to the age of 18 in Ireland. This video introduces Helen Enright, Best Practice Officer at ISPCC, who tells us more about the significant and important work done by Childline. The CLO has a long-standing relationship with Childline, and we are delighted to report that many UL students have and do volunteer with this great organisation. Today, Grace Hurley, a current master's student, and Sinead Ryan, a recent graduate, speak about their roles and experiences with Childline.
Hiya, my name is Helen Enright. I work for the ISPCC Childline, and when I started with the ISPCC, I started as a supervisor in the Limerick region, and recently I moved into the Best Practice Officer role. We're a 24-hour service that runs 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're a non-problem focused service, which means that you don't have to have a problem to ring us, and you can ring us to talk about absolutely anything that's going on, and no one in Childline will ever judge you, give out to you, or tell you what to do. I started off with the ISPCC as a volunteer, and I volunteered for over 4 years, and then I went back to finish my degree in college in social care, and then I came back to be the supervisor with Childline. The work of our volunteers is extremely vital. Our volunteers are the heart of our service. If it wasn't for our volunteers, I don't think we'd be able to run 24 hours a day.
What attracted me to Childline was I really enjoy volunteering, and I've heard great things about it from friends and colleagues, and they really encouraged me to start volunteering because they had amazing experiences and really enjoyed it themselves, and I'd heard only good things. So I started volunteering with Childline during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was this September I started volunteering, and the training really was so comprehensive and so detailed, and it included virtual sessions weekly, and it was just so helpful, and you kind of got to meet volunteers all over Ireland, which was really nice because we all got to kind of do role plays and share our own experiences, which was really helpful. And then we ended, after a really detailed amount of training, we actually were brought into the service, and that involved listening in on other calls and knowing the appropriate kind of how other volunteers answer.
Each of our units have a real big community feel, so you get to meet loads of new people and make really special type of friendships with these type of people. Our training is invaluable. It will be used throughout your whole life, your personal life and your professional life. And also if you're studying in a field that is seen within the ISPCC, there's also job opportunities that are available to our volunteers as well. So overall, our service opens up a massive windows to anybody who gets involved with us.
So I began volunteering with Childline in semester 2 during my Masters in Business Management, and I feel like it has helped me in my course, in my modules. I have learned things that you don't necessarily learn in college. For instance, empathy, it's something that I have truly gained so much more knowledge in, and I would encourage everyone to get involved. And I think for me personally, what you put in, you get more out of it.
My experience of going live was really enjoyable. I learned so much in terms of actually going live on the phones. It really brought to life the training in such detail, and you kind of got the opportunity to really put into practice what you learned in the training, so I really enjoyed the experience of going live. So volunteering to me has really enhanced my life in terms of many different ways, in terms of work, in terms of friendships. I've made great friends from volunteering in organisations, and there's just, I can honestly say I haven't met, everyone there is so nice, especially in Childline. It's a really lovely, really supportive, really lovely people in the organisation. And in terms of what it's brought to my life, I really find the skills very transferable and applicable in terms of my work roles. And for example, I'm working in LIT at the moment as a mental health and wellbeing project officer.
Our relationship with UL is vital to us. Students that have come to us from UL have just showed so much dedication and commitment to the service, and more importantly, they've showed dedication and commitment to the young people who ring the Childline service to look for that support week in, week out. So, our students are very important to us, and the relationship that we have with UL.
The best part of volunteering with Childline, for me, I did not expect to make so many good friends in such a short amount of time. I joined Childline in February, and the support and help, guidance, during my shifts there and outside of Childline has been phenomenal. I have learned so much. Previously to working with Childline, I thought I had very good communication skills, but through the training and the support there, I have excelled in communication. I now know how to actively listen and give people a safe place to talk and to be listened to.
Okay, we're on the home stretch now. After this group received their PVAs, we will show our final video. This group is representative of UL Science and Engineering students. Bandar Al-Amri, Nicole Bertie, Victoria Biedron, Megan Brophy, Grania Buckley, Jason Carroll, Adam Clapper, Aoife Conway, Stephen Doran, Alan Enright, Killian Fahy, Mary Fitzpatrick, Luke Flannery, Lydia French, Kelsey Galati, Siobhan Hennessy, Niamh Hickey, Ryan Christopher Hornet, Amy Kelly, Alexandra Kiley, David Kokic, Adil Kotlu, Lakeisha Lasso, James Lewington, Kerry McNulty, Ellen McWay, Abby Orkin Maloney, David Mullen, Lavisha Mullins, Mika Nielsen, Amand Niaz, Mary Noonan, Emily O'Callaghan, Ciara O'Connell, Aoife O'Doherty, Brona O'Hanlon, Joe O'Loughlin, Rachel O'Malley Rake, Jessica Wu, Kacper Ostrowski, Vitota Plikaviciat, Jeremy Peely, Akaduba Ayula Princewell, Marcin Sek, Lena Stolz, Ciara Sunderland, Tiwalolu Odesonia, Shubnam Vishnoi, and finally, Stephen Willis. Well done, everybody. Our final video for this year is a real-life example of how COVID is reshaping our world and how it has forced us to reimagine how we do our work. We are delighted to introduce Anne-Marie Hayes, Head of Fundraising at Milford Hospice. Anne-Marie and the Community Liaison Office have worked very successfully over many years. This year was no exception in that respect. However, this year UL student volunteers Stephanie Leamy, Aoife Phelan, Kate Wolfe, Sinead Peppard and Rebecca Barry, all undertaking a Masters in Marketing, Consumption and Society with Chemie Business, as Sinead Peppard in her final year of Education, Health and Social Science studying Sports Science came together to work with Anne-Marie and her team to mitigate the lack of fundraising opportunities. Essentially, this team turned the annual Milford 10K fundraiser into a very successful virtual fundraiser. This UL student volunteer team connected with Milford supporters all over the world. Congratulations on a very successful piece of work.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Hayes and I head up the fundraising department here at Milford Hospice. We provide specialist medical and social care services to patients with life-limiting conditions. Over 1,700 patients were treated by Milford Hospice in 2020. With fundraising, we are always looking at ways of adapting and enhancing our current fundraising activities 2020 was an incredibly difficult and challenging year for everyone. Our fundraising was also impacted with COVID-19 restrictions in place, and we have had to adapt in so many ways from the traditional fundraising channels and become more digital focused in our appeals. This year I enlisted the assistance of the 5 students from UL to help with promoting our annual 10K. And we certainly had to adapt our 10K to enable competitors to take part safely, while adhering to social distancing and government advice on mass gatherings. The students were tasked with building and executing a social media strategy through competitive research, platform determination, messaging and audience identification. The students connected in a meaningful way with our followers in the community and indeed overseas. Over this time, Milford came to admire the work of the students, and we trusted them with our social media platforms. The students represented our hospice well, produced media content with ease, and most importantly, with such passion.
Well, the PVA reached out via email, and when I saw it, I jumped at the opportunity straight away. I messaged a few of the girls in my course and I said, we have to do this. Milford Care Centre is an amazing organisation that has helped many friends and family members of mine, and I'm sure loads of other people in Limerick as well. So we were all happy to volunteer.
The team of us who came together, we didn't actually know each other to start off. Then we set up a WhatsApp group chat, and then we started to communicate through this, and we had Zoom meetings, and we just got to know each other between talking through the meetings, and we actually never met each other face to face.
It meant so much to be involved in an opportunity like this. I know COVID has been a struggle for a lot of people this year, so it was really nice to get involved in such an amazing project. I know the ladies in Milford that we're working with, Anne-Marie Hayes and Melissa Purcell, were so friendly and so helpful that we all look forward to the calls with them. So it was a nice bit of escapism throughout all the stressfulness of this year, and we just really enjoyed doing it.
We had a brilliant graphic designer, and I done the kind of sports, exercise sciencey kind of training plans bit, and then we had people who were really good posting on social media, and just everyone kind of came together and brought what they had to the table, and it just worked out really well.
It was good to have 5 different people, 5 different brains. We all brought our different strengths, and then when we found a space where we could collaborate together, it just kind of took off and did itself.
There was just a great buzz. Even though we weren't physically together, there was a nice presence of community online. I think so many people were posting of their own accord. We didn't really have to ask people for too much involvement, really. Everyone was happy to come together.
My favourite part working on the virtual 10K for Milford was working with everyone from the PVA team, my group and everyone at Milford, and the virtual 10K committee. One of my favourite parts was making the video for after the event, and we really got to see the reach and all the people that got involved. It was lovely to see.
My favourite part of the whole experience was probably just seeing how much it was snowballing, and just to see the amount of people that were getting involved and the reach that our experiments were achieving was really just amazing. From one post gaining multiple followers, or from after the competition, or even on the day just seeing all the blue tops everywhere. That was probably my favourite part, just to see the impact that we were having, and that it was a good impact and it was making people feel good.
There's definitely a lot of highlights from the whole experience. Definitely the friends I made throughout it. The experience was invaluable, and also helping out a great organisation. Probably the biggest highlight was the final weekend when everything came to a head. We put so much time, effort and hours into all of this, and we expected a big turnout, but we couldn't stay off our phones that weekend. It was just constant people supporting. The amount of people that contributed, people from all over the world, America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere in Europe. I can't even keep track of it all. So it was really nice in that way. And even when I went out to do my own 10K, it was just blue everywhere. Everyone had their blue Milford t-shirts on, so it was just amazing that we could be part of that campaign that brought everyone together.
I would definitely encourage students to get involved in the PVA. It's just a great experience in learning life skills, in making friends, even during COVID, which is tough enough. And it's really rewarding to be able to help organisations like Milford Care Centre. It's just a great experience overall.
Milford Hospice Virtual 10K event was extremely successful this year. It was truly down to the efforts of the students with their input and drive for this campaign. Indeed, the virtual event exceeded Milford's expectations both in participation and in income generation.
Caleb and I are very impressed by the commitment of UL students to our local, national and international clubs, societies, organisations and communities, as well as their social entrepreneurial spirit. Congratulations once again to our 750 PVA recipients. A special thanks to our guest speaker Magella O'Connell, and congratulations on all the work you do for our alumni. We wish you very well into the future. Also, we take this opportunity to sincerely thank our President Kirsten for your continued support and encouragement for student volunteers, the PVA and our student body.
Before we wrap up for the day, on our behalf and on behalf of the Community Liaison Office, we sincerely thank everybody that made today possible. All our student volunteers and their host organisations, our colleagues in buildings and estates, the President's Office, UL Ceremonies Committee, Student Affairs, UL Alumni, UL Comms and most particularly our partner organisations and colleagues on and off campus, Campus Engage and the members of the National Student Volunteer Working Group. Finally, a special thanks to Shannon Images and the staff and the elected representatives in Student Life. Please join Alison and I in a virtual applause for our 750 2021 PVA recipients. We take this opportunity to wish you all the very best in the months and years ahead. We wish you and your families good health. Thank you for joining us. We hope today is a very special award ceremony for you all.
Thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening.